So today's word or words are risk unit. And that's something where you have to put a lot of thought into it. And I don't get the sense from the comments and the things that I see in social media that a lot of people do that. Um, I think they think like, well, I want to risk X amount of dollars, and then I want to chop that up 4 or 5 ways, and then that's going to be my bet size. That's terribly unscientific. It's certainly a way to do it, as evidenced by the fact that that's how people are doing it. So what I mean by that is that, say someone has a weekly limit of say 5K, and they'll say, well, based on my track record, I'm going to chop that up into 5 units, 5 risk units of 1,000 each. So, the way I would improve that is to say, okay, well, where's the 5K come from? Why is that your weekly number? How does that relate to your monthly number? Right? And then what is that as a percentage of your overall capital? Because that's really the burn that people feel. It's like my account is down, right? They don't be like, oh, I hit my weekly limit. That's much more, you know, that's for like a different crowd. And I don't even want to say it's for the pro crowd. So I think it's important, whether you're working at a prop firm, whether you're trying to get funded by one of these funding outfits, or whether you're actually trading real capital, is to think about your risk unit and then think of it in terms of like, what does that mean to you when you say your account is down? Because that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, right? So understanding your R is really, really important, because if you're like many pro traders, you don't just have one position on at a time. You might have three, four, five, six positions on. So imagine, if you have, six positions, each with a 0.5% risk unit, you'd be able to calculate what's the total if all your stops got hit for drawdown, which doesn't necessarily mean losses. Even though you've lost on the trade, you could still be up for the year and giving money, some of your gains back, right? That's why I say drawdown, not necessarily losses. You could figure out six positions at a 0.5% each would indicate that you'd have 3% portfolio heat. And so the concept here is like, you want to optimize that for your trading style, for your holding period, for the asset class that you trade, the use of margin, and this and that. Over time, you're going to be able to ascertain what's the best or optimum portfolio heat for you to have. If you're risk on, risk off with one particular unit, you don't have to worry about this. You can click off. It's not really going to help you. You might find it moderately interesting. But for those people in like the pro crowd, and you have several positions on, you're taking risk home overnight, we are doing this dance with adjusting our protective stops. So the distance between your entry and your protective stop, right, is really of paramount importance, because at the beginning, if everything goes against you, you're actually losing principal, or you're from your capital base that you started with when we were at T0. Once you start seeing appreciation in those allocations, if you will, and you adjust your break evens, your stops, your protective stops to your break evens, now you still have the potential for the name to come back. But if it does, you're not losing principal from the previous period. You see what I'm saying? You're just getting out at break even. So the pro traders, we think about portfolio heat and how to optimize that. So the beginning of that conversation starts with your R. What is your R? Now, you'd have to understand back testing at a very high level to understand, like, if you picked some number, like I said at the beginning of the video, that you picked 5K out of your, who knows where you got it from, and then you said, well, I want to break that up 5 times. It's not terribly sophisticated. It certainly sounds like you're making an attempt to some level of diversification. But the key concept here is to know from a percentage standpoint, what does the 5K and what does the 1K mean to your account? Because again, in our coaching, when we start talking about, where are you in your performance, you start thinking about, well, my account's down. And that all kind of starts to me with a conversation that they're not having with themselves about how do you manage risk on a per trade basis, and what do those numbers mean from you, and then what happens if you have any number of positions on and they all work against you, right? So this is one of the reasons why, even though I do carry positions on, multiple positions on with different instruments, I don't typically step into my optimal position side. They're just my favorite flavor. You might find it's better for you to do it differently, and I support that. You know, it's all good. One's not better than the other. It's really just what's best for you. So that's why I don't mind taking things home at night. So whereas I might eventually have 10, 11, 12% portfolio heat across any number of positions at the very beginning, I might have 6 pieces with only 1/10 of 1% on. As I'm adding to my winners, those numbers kind of go up where the positions grow. But if you go back and watch the live stream under the live tab at the YouTube channel, you can kind of see what I was talking about, because I was technically adding risk by having bigger positions, more of a margin commitment. But as I was adjusting my protective stops, the actual risk to my capital wasn't really changing all that much. And even as I grow older, I'm trying to do everything I possibly can to understand where is the portfolio heat and where do I get into drawdown territory. Because what you don't lose, you don't have to earn back, right? You like my pen? I don't know why I'm holding the pen. Let me put the pen down. What you don't lose, you don't have to earn back, right? In jiu-jitsu tournaments, we coach, the folks who are going out into tournaments. Defense is the name of the game, right? There's a lot of parallels between trading and jiu-jitsu, right? So if you get swept or you get taken down, that's 2 points. If someone gets mount or they take your back, that's another four. So if you're in someone's guard and they sweep you, it's 2 points for the sweep, and now they're on mount. So it's a 6-point transaction, and time is against you because there's a finite amount of time. And so the idea in that type of coaching is exactly the same in trading, in that don't give up points, because the more you fall behind with the time constraint of a match, and there's the different time constraints depending on your belt level, right? The lower the belt, the lower the time for the match. And then as you get up to, purple, brown, black belt, they're longer matches. So there is a little bit more time to recover. But either way, there is a time constraint. The whistle's going to blow, and whoever has the most points, if someone doesn't get submitted, is going to be the winner. So in your trading, your goal is to play superior defense. You think that there's opportunity for sure, but you have to develop your palette, right? What are your tastes and preferences for risk? If you're a painter, what are your favorite colors that you're going to go to? What are the hues? What are the temperatures, right? So in all of that, the less you lose, the less you have to earn back. And so I'm super stingy on trying to, give up losses early in the position, because I don't want to have, 5 positions with 2% risk units like I did when I was starting out, because then I could find myself in a 10% drawdown in a very short period of time. Now, all of a sudden, that's in my head. And I not only have the micro part of getting stopped out, but the macro part that my account is down 10%. That's why I said $5,000 divided 5 times. What the hell does that mean? So you have much more ownership of things if you start to think in terms of your R. And then what does that mean as a percent of your overall account? Because the more you're aware, the more you can monitor your own behavior around that, right? That's the key, is self-awareness. So the more you're aware of what those numbers mean to you from the standpoint of your overall account balance, I think you'll be better able to, assuage or allay your fears, and also keep your greed in check. Because you'll know, case in point, if the ATR on a particular instrument is 2 and you position sizing accordingly, if you see that 2 movement in your favor, then you know what percent you've made. If you were using a risk unit of R, that is, say, 1/2 of 1%, and it's based on an ATR of 2, well, then if there's a 2-point or a 2-tick, whatever you're using it as, movement in your favor, now you've just added 0.5% of unrealized gain to your, portfolio. If you've had a 2-tick or a 2-point move against you, you'd know that it cost you 0.5%. So it's all very mathematically elegant for you to kind of ascertain. But to me, those are the numbers that you should have in the forefront of your mind, and then understand that as you add positions, whether they're with different tickers or whether you're adding to your winners, understanding that portfolio heat is a pro move, and it's absolutely key to understanding how you will evolve by monitoring your behavior in becoming a more and more profitable trader. Like this video, boogie down over here.